You ever just get a random idea in the middle of the day and you're going, let's put that idea to the test. So here what we got is a Tunes pump that I'm going to place into my saltwater reservoir. You might be thinking, why would you do that? What are you doing? What are you thinking? Well, I noticed over time that my salinity drops, and I was having to top off with salt water to kind of level it out. So I'm thinking here, why don't I just automate that process? And what would be involved in automating that process? Well, it's a little complicated, but we're gonna get it done, so let's go. First step is to get the new pump into the saltwater reservoir, as you can see here. Got the line all in and fed out through the top here. So now the biggest obstacle of this project is the wiring and the logic system behind it based on salinity. I'm going to use relays. I'm going to use my Apex energy bar to control it and some code. And yeah, we'll get it all fired up. Let's go. So here's the diagram that I eventually came up with. It took a little bit. I initially had a diagram of one relay, but I realized I needed two. So try to explain this as best as possible. So starting with the top left corner, you see 12 volt switched SW saltwater. This is the logic that will enable the negative and positive to be activated from my Apex. This is basically salinity probe telling this switch what to do. It's highly important that your salinity probe is calibrated and accurate. Otherwise, this kind of doesn't really matter. However, mine I've dialed in. I took a long time to get it right, so I'm pretty confident that it's accurate. But I think I might actually get another salinity probe just to be on the safe side. So just a little disclaimer there. Okay, so back to the logic. If salinity is low, it's going to activate my 12 volt switch up top there, and it's basically going to tell me, hey, I need to switch from the freshwater RODI pump to the saltwater pump. And it'll stay on the saltwater pump until the salinity has reached a higher threshold value that I set. And then once that is hit, it'll switch back over to the freshwater pump. Now, if you'll focus your attention on the top right corner of the page, you'll see where it says ATO brain box. This is essentially the level sensor in the back of my sump, which tells me the water level. So this activates when my water level is too low, and it says, hey, it's time to fill up. So it'll activate that, and then my 12 volt switch from previous step has already determined which pump is going to be activated. So in the code, I'll have it so that it just defaults to standard ATO RODI in the event something doesn't work correctly. So if you're unsure how relays work or anything, you can always look it up. I would definitely recommend not doing this unless you're very confident in wiring. So yeah, don't go wiring things you don't know what you're doing. So here's the positive red and yellow negative from the power adapter that's plugged into my Apex energy bar. This is going to be the signal, my 12 volt switched here in the diagram, that tells me when my salinity is low. So here's the final product wired up. Nice little mess here. This is the switched, and then this is the ATO signal. And it feeds into the relays, and then they do the work. If you follow the diagram, you will succeed. Here's the back of the sump. This second line here is the saltwater ATO. Nice little line holder here, holding everything in place. So good to go. Here's the code I came up with. That's pretty much my salinity range. Less than 34.9 turns my saltwater pump on. If it's greater than 35.1, then it turns it off. And if my reservoir gets too low, it turns it off as well for the salt water. And yeah, that'll keep me within a pretty tight range there for my salinity. And we will see over time how it pans out. And that's going to do it for me for now. As you can see, 2 reservoirs, 2 ATO pumps, optimal salinity at all times, no variation, you know how it goes here. Stability is key in the reef environment. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. I will see you guys on the next one.